Christopher is going to teach us valuable listening and relationship building skills that we can use to lead with integrity. Please give a big welcome to Christopher Fairbanks.
All right, I'm just getting up here to grab the clicker, and then I'm going to come down there. Is that okay? And I'll get back up again when I show you some ballet moves. Yeah? So the only thing I ask is that somebody gets their cell phone out and gets ready to call 911. Because I am not as young as I used to be. So, like he said, I'm Christopher Fairbank. I am I'm just weird, I guess. So here we go. That is me. That hurts now. That really hurts now. That's okay, I can probably do that today. So, like I said, ballet to bullets. What on earth does that mean? What is ballet to bullets? Well, I will tell you. I went from dancing on stages around the world. Like he said, I was third in the world amongst male professional ballet dancers when I retired. That was 40 pounds ago, so don't judge. From catching girls to then retiring and joining the police academy and joining the police department, dodging bullets and catching bad guys. That's about pretty much how it went. So that's how we get to ballet to bullets. So, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a business coach, I do a lot of different things, and I absolutely love it. I enjoy it, I love coming to places like this. I actually met Kim last year in Corpus Christi, and that's how I'm here. I love Kim, she's great. We like Kim, right? Absolutely. So I'd like to start out with one of my most favorite quotes that I have, and I'm going to read it because I don't have it memorized. I probably should, but I don't. It says, "A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others." Now, I like that because that is absolutely the truth. We have to have the courage to stand alone. My whole life, right from the beginning of my life, I had the courage to stand alone. At the age of 2 years old, I was put in the foster care system. And I was a foster care child until the age of 5 when the Fairbank family took me into their house and took me in as their own. And then from the age of 5 to 8, they fought with the courts in New York State, because I'm from New York. They fought with the courts in New York State to try and get me to be able to be adopted in that family. Now, for some reason, back in the day, I'm not going to tell you what year it was way back when, but they would not let a child that was not the same race or ethnicity in another family and could not be adopted. My family was white. My family is white. Obviously, I am not. The courts would not allow it to happen, and my parents fought tooth and nail for it to happen. Finally, 2 long years later, at the age of 8, my parents actually got that law overturned because of one judge. One judge said, "I do not understand why he can't and why you can't do this. You're a great family. You guys have a lot to offer him, and if he's in your family, we understand and we know that he will grow up to be something good." And my parents said, "Well, of course he will." So they overturned it, and the only thing I remember on that day, after I turned 8, was going to that courthouse and seeing this judge. I don't remember what his name was, but I remember one thing. He had 3 lollipops. And they were blow pops, and I was so excited. And I remember him saying to me, "These 3 blow pops, once you finish them, that means that the adoption is complete." And I scarfed those things down so quick, had a big old mouthful of gum, and I was like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And it was done, and the rest is history. Had a great opportunity, had a great time. The Fairbank family is amazing, and they raised some amazing children. Or child. So, because of that, everybody always says, "Well, can we see you dance?" Well, I told you earlier, well, you'd have to call 911. I'm no longer dancing. I still teach, I still dabble in it. I have a great opportunity to teach other students and other up-and-coming dancers, and I enjoy it, and I love every minute of it. But to be back out on the stage again, I will tell you right now, and I promise you that you do not want to see this in tights. Not now. 10 years ago, possibly so. That would have been fine, but not anymore. My wife says to me a lot, all the time, she says, "Well, you keep on saying you want to lose weight." I'm like, "I have, and I've lost 20 pounds. Thank you very much. I was very happy with that." So she says, "Well, you said you wanted to lose weight." I said, "Yeah, I just want to keep on losing the weight. I want to get back to my dancer body." And you know what she says? "Oh, that would be so nice." I'm like, "Sweetheart, there's more to love." But that's okay. All right, whatever. So, Because everybody asked if they could see me dance, well, here you go. This, what I'm about to show you, this performance right here, brought you home to the United States of America your first gold medal for the Olympics in ballet. This is your first gold medal. And then coincidentally, I went and did this same choreography, the same solo, again 4 years after that, and brought you home a second gold medal for the United States of America, so you're welcome. So that right there, that performance right there was videotaped. That was actually in Varna, Bulgaria. And of course, they had to choose to have this competition, the International Ballet Competition in Varna, Bulgaria. That's where it happens every 4 years in February. When I stepped off the plane, I thought to myself, this is beautiful, because you could see it, you know, when you're flying, like, oh, this is beautiful. All these old buildings, it was so nice. They opened up the doors, we got in the breezeway, and the breezeway to the airplane. I was like, it's a little chilly. We stepped outside to get into our limousine, and it was very chilly. It was extremely cold, and they said, oh, but the theater will be nice and warm. I'm like, okay. Well, I hope warm is like 90 degrees, because I'm frozen. Well, before we got on stage that night, they had us all in a little staging area, and everybody's rehearsing, everyone's practicing. And of course, what do you normally do when you see other people practicing in a competition? You start sizing up your competition, right? So I'm sizing up all these people, all the French and the Cubans and the Russians, of course, and the Bulgarians, and I'm like, yeah, I got him. Not a problem. Oh, I know I've got that guy. And then in walks a name that everybody knows. I would imagine everybody knows, Mikhail Baryshnikov, right? Oh yeah, exactly. And then Mikhail Baryshnikov walks in. And I look at him, I was like, oh, I got that guy. Oh, is that Mikhail? Oh, that's Baryshnikov. I wanted so to run to the registration table and say, I'm out. I can't compete against this guy. Thankfully, we're in a different division. But after this performance, I walked off stage. And Mikhail Baryshnikov was sitting on the edge of the stage in a bathrobe with like some slippers on, you know, nice and warm. Like he was sweating underneath that. I was sweating because I was so nervous, because I just danced in front of some of the best people in the world that were judging me. And he looked at me and he said, not bad. Seriously? Not bad? And I thought to myself, let me see here. So I start going through the choreography again. I'm thinking, okay, well, I know I did 6 pirouettes there, and the guy before me did 2 and stumbled. So I think that's pretty good. 6 is great. And I was doing double tortoises, things in the air where I turned around twice and then landed an arabesque, right? That's impressive, I think. Well, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to stand backstage. I'm going to watch Baryshnikov do his. So I stood backstage and he took off for a jump and he just kept on going up and up. My old man's going to disappear now, so that's great. Well, he lands and then, of course, you know, he starts doing turns. He starts doing pirouettes. Me being me, I had to start counting. When I got to 7, I stopped. I'm like, all right, so we're gonna play games like that now, are we? Fine. Fine. But that's okay, we're in a different division. So he walked off stage, he comes back, and he grabbed his towel and he wiped his brow. You know, you have to pat yourself because you don't want to mess up your makeup. Ladies, you understand that, right? Any guys understand that? Right, do not answer that. So, you know, he's back there, he's patting himself up, and he came up to me and he says, what did you think? And I said, it was good. Point is, and why do I tell you that story? Well, we have to be able to say, we have to be able to speak up, we have to be able to speak out, and we have to use the leadership that we have for ourselves. We have to be able and willing to speak out and say what we need to say at certain times. Now, I was speaking someplace else, and I said, you've got to be that positive disruptor, which we have to be a positive disruptor in the business world. We have to. What does that mean? It means you've got to let your voice be heard. You've got to let your ideas be heard, but at the right time. Somebody said, oh, you know, we got this person comes to our meeting, and they're always just speaking out. They're always just saying the most nonsense, all this nonsense, everything, and you think, well, okay. So I have to ask, have you used any of that nonsense that they've said? Oh, well, yeah. So it wasn't nonsense then, was it? But the point is that it has to be said at the right time. Now, me, I'm from New York. I speak my mind all the time. And sometimes I probably shouldn't speak it as often as I do, but I do. And we'll get into that a little later on, because I've got some stories for you. So, I stand by this every single day. I stand by this, and I stand for this, and I believe this is who I am, and this is what I'm about. And it's very simple. And at the end of this, we're all going to say this together, because I want you to believe it, and I want you to think about it. So number one, can you remember this? You do. So first and foremost, I am a leader. I have integrity, and I will be the change that I want to see. You are a leader, you do have integrity, and you do need to be the change that you want to see. Because there is so much stuff going on in the world today, and if we do not step up and try and be the change ourselves, then things are never going to change. Things will never change, things will never improve, and things will never get any better, because we have not been willing to help it out. We have not been willing to help push the envelope and push things forward and move things forward. And that's what we have to do. As human beings, that's what we have to do. I read this book, which is one of my favorite books. It's by Ron Clark. And he wrote this book, and it's called The Essential 55. One of the greatest books that I have read in my life. And I love it. And it's pretty short, but it's got 5 essential things that we should do just as human beings. And I was talking with Erica earlier. I love Erica. I don't know where she is, but I love her to death. She's fantastic. So I was talking with Erica earlier about this. And it's all about being something, it's all about being different. It's about putting forth something different and something better. Well, one of his essential 55s is about a hotel. How ironic, we're in a hotel. And at the end of your stay, he said, I suggest that you leave something on the pillow, something nice. He says, when I go to a hotel and I spend the night someplace, he said, I always leave a $1 bill on the pillow when I leave with a little note that just says thank you, something simple like that. Well, I started to practice that myself. I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. And so my family and I were on vacation. And we were there for 3 days, we were at the hotel for 3 nights, and each morning when we got up, we left a $5 bill on the pillow, and it just said, thank you for your service. And we'd leave, not knowing who the person was going to clean our room. Who cares? But we were paying it forward. Well, on the 3rd day, we were walking out of our hotel room, we left a $5 bill on the counter, on the pillow, with a little note that said, thank you for your service. And the housekeeper was next door, and she came over because she heard us leaving, and she said, have you guys been here all 3 nights? We said, yes, ma'am. She said, thank you so much. She goes, this has made my life so much better. She said, not that you care. And in my head, I'm thinking, care about what? I'm just trying to do something nice. She says, not that you care what I'm about to tell you. She said, but that small amount has helped me get through the past couple of days. Because I've got a child that is sick, and every little bit helps, and this has helped a lot. Well, I felt good, and I thought, this is really good. My wife and I felt very good. Well, this is great. We were able to help somebody. Well, we were downstairs at the lobby of the check-in desk to check out. And they all carry these little radios, right, to talk to their housekeepers. And she comes on the radio and she says, you cannot believe it. I just met the nicest couple. The couple that has left me now $15, which to us probably isn't that much. I just met the nicest couple that just left me the money. How sweet they were and how kind. You know, the other thing is that they pulled the sheets back, they put the pillows back on the bed, they hung the towels up, they just left it very nice, and it was very nice of them to do this. Well, I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, wow. And she's like, I would just wish that every single customer was like this. Well, of course, me being me, not being an emotional person, yeah, right, I'm like, babe, we need to go. We need to go. My eyes are welling up with tears, I'm like, I didn't think that much of it, we just need to go. Babe, let's go. She's like, oh, this is so nice, I'm like, we need to go. Is that we paid it forward, right? There was something there that helped somebody else. Who cares if it shows integrity, it shows leadership, or anything like that? But you know what it does show and what it did do? It allowed us to be a change in the world just for that moment. Even if it's a small moment, it allows us to be a change. And that really today is what my topic is about. It's about being a change. And being a change in the world. So with that, I know Kim wanted me to talk about ballet to bullets, but I'm changing my complete overall story, and everything is different. And we're going to talk about how to raise penguins in Texas. No? I hope not, because I have no idea how to raise a penguin in Texas. So, there are 6 key essential things that we're going to talk about today. Number 1 is, what is a leader? Number 2, be the leader that you would follow. Because if you're not a leader that you would even follow yourself, then why would anybody else follow you? Number 3, set the direction and be the teacher. You have to be willing to teach somebody else what you want to happen, what you think that this outcome is going to be. Number 4, admit faults and mistakes. Now let's pause right there. I'll make it a rhetorical question. I'm not making you embarrass yourself. But how many people in this room, rhetorically speaking, have ever been able to admit to a very huge mistake that they have made? Let me tell you, well, people are raising their hands anyway. Fantastic. Well, that's great. And that right there shows leadership. And that shows integrity. Because we have to be able to admit our faults and our mistakes. Because the moment that we don't admit to it, that's the moment where everything's going to start to crumble around you. Trust me, it will start crumbling around you. Because you've lost everything at that point. Most importantly, you've lost the respect of everybody else around you. Number 5, help others succeed and encourage leadership at all levels. It is extremely important that we help encourage people at all levels, no matter what the level is. We have to encourage that leadership at all levels, because one day, that person may be in your position. And if we have not encouraged them, if we've not helped them go along, then what have we done other than hinder their progress and their progression? And I would hope that we never want to do that. And last but not least, lead by example. We must lead by example. We have to lead by example. So, first and foremost, what is a leader? Merriam-Webster's dictionary. We all love Merriam-Webster. What a great dictionary. It's very simple. The quality of being honest and fair. So I put honesty plus fairness equals integrity. I think that's about what it is. I think that sums it up pretty well. Now, APJ Abdul Kalam. I love this quote because it's so true. Now, I'm going to say, instead of he, I'm going to say he, she, they, right? Because we want to include everybody. But this is his quote. It says, let me define a leader. He, she, they must have a vision and passion and not be afraid of any problem. Instead, he, she, they should know how to defeat it. Most importantly, he, she, they must work with integrity. Integrity is a very, very big part of being a good leader. Integrity is something that does not come easily. Integrity is something that people need to have within inside of them. And if you do not have it, or if you feel like you don't have it, well, it's okay. Because you can gain that integrity, because it's all about you. It's all about you. By show of hands, who here in the morning wakes up, looks at themselves in the mirror, and says something positive about themselves? 1 person? 2 people? 3 people? It's like an auction. 4, do I have 5? Do I have 5? Do I have 5? So very, right, exactly. Why do I bring that? Well, because you have to. If you do not believe in yourself, you've already lost something within sight. Now, it may sound silly, but I do. I wake up in the morning, and I tell myself that I'm great. Because I have to believe in that. I have to believe in it. I have to believe that I am great. I have to believe that I'm a good person. My daughter has something on her wall in her bathroom, and it goes through all these different steps of whatever she is and how she needs to look at herself that day. And I said to her one day when she put that up in her bathroom, I said, why do you like that? She said, oh, it's great. I said, okay, well, it's great. I said, do you tell yourself that every morning? She goes, every morning I look at that and I tell myself that. And I said, wow, that's awesome. And of course I started getting a big head, like I'm such a proud dad. I'm like, she learned that from me. She goes, yeah, Mom told me that she does it. I'm like, of course. Why not? All right, another one for Mom, chalk it up, right? She's always right. But really, it's the truth. When we start doing those things and we have that, what I like to call personal self-talk, when you have that personal self-talk in the morning, that's exactly what that is. You tell yourself that you're beautiful, right? You say that I'm beautiful. Or you're going to have a great day today. Because when we do that, we can actually have a great day that day. Does that mean we're not going to have problems that day? Absolutely not. Are there going to be challenges that day? Absolutely there will be. But at least we've started out on the right foot. Some people say, well, I cannot get my morning started without that nice, tall glass or cup of coffee, right? I gotta have it. If I don't have it, man, my day's gonna be ruined. Well, my thing, I don't drink coffee. That's myself something nice about myself, well, that just ruins the rest of my day. And it doesn't have to be anything ostentatious. But again, remember, you're just saying it to yourself, so you can say whatever you want to. You know, Christopher, that receding hairline looks beautiful on you today. I'm going to go through the day, all day long, just saying, man, I look great, and I'm wonderful. But you have to do that. Right then and there is where that starts, that leadership, right from the beginning, because you are a leader now in your own mind. You've already established it, and you've already told yourself that this is who you are. Does that make sense? I hope. That's where it starts. That's the ground level we have to start. So, be the leader you would follow. Be the leader you would follow. Are you the leader that you're going to follow? Well, I want to tell you, way back when I was dancing, and I was in the process of auditioning for companies, I had the awesome opportunity of living in New York City. I was in the city. Had a great time, and I went to this audition. And I was so excited because I wanted to be in this ballet company so bad. I went to this ballet audition, and they said right from the beginning, we have 4 positions for men, and we have 4 positions for women. So 8 positions total. It's fantastic. At the end of the audition, there was 4 men standing and 4 women standing. I happened to be one of the 4 men still standing, and I was like, I got the job. I'm so excited. 3 men got their contracts and 4 women got their contracts. And I'm still just staying. And I'm thinking, where's my contract? And the director said to me as the dancers were filing out of the studio, you know, some of them obviously were very upset, and I can't believe I didn't get the job. Well, you know, you're not going to get every job. And the director said, but wait, number 1, whatever I was, 172, I don't even know what number I was, but you know, odd numbers. It's like a cattle call, right? He said, want to talk to you. I said, okay, perfect. So now I'm very excited. I'm like, not only does he want to talk to me, I'm probably going to get an extra special contract. And he says to me, well, you are a beautiful dancer. And I said, well, thank you, I know that. He said, you have beautiful turns. Well, I know. I've been working on it for a while. And you can jump so high. I'm like, I know. I'm beautiful. And he said, but there's 2 problems. And I said, oh, 2 problems? And before he could finish, I interrupted him and I said, I can fix any problem that you got. Just give it to me, lay it on me. Well, these 2 problems were 2 things that I do not consider problems, and I don't think anybody in this room would consider this a problem. But he said there are 2 problems with you. He said the first one is, you're too dark. Wow. Ouch. Well, I can't fix that problem. He said the second thing is, you are too short. Ouch. I can't fix that. I can't change that. So these are 2 problems that he told me that I had. A little devastated. Went back to my apartment in New York City. Called my parents. Talked to my parents. And I remember saying to my parents, well, I failed. And my mom and dad stopped that conversation right then and there. And I do not remember if it was my mother or if it was my father, but one of them said to me, failure is only a failure if you allow it to be a failure. So what are you going to do about it? I said, well, I don't know. I said, well, I can't change my skin color and I can't change my height because I'm not going to go out on stage and dance on stilts. And I'm not going to go someplace and try and get some whitening cream or something like that to light me up. I said, I'm not going to do it. And my dad said, you're just thinking of solutions. He said, to a failure. You're not a failure, and there's no failure that has been done here. The only failure there is because you're not willing to get back up and start over again and try again. Well, I said, okay. And my father asked me again, what are you going to do about it? Well, Dad, I don't know. No, son, you know what you're going to do about it. And my mother said, think about it. What are you going to do about it? I said, I'm going to get myself back in that ballet studio, and I'm going to go do it again. And they said, that's right. Now, true to the Fairbank form, there was no I love you at the end of it. My dad just hung up the phone. So now I'm on my own. Okay, great. So the next week, there's another audition. I looked at the paper, and I could have sworn that I had it correct. I get to the studio, I walk in, I'm warming up, I'm all ready to go, and in walks the same director from the week before. I was in the wrong studio. At the wrong time. Oh, it gets better. I was a day early. Of course, Murphy's Law. Well, this time the director said, I'm looking for 3 more males, and audition exactly like the week before. There was 3 men standing and there was 3 females standing. 2 men got a contract, all 3 women got a contract, and I'm standing there by myself. Well, this time I was feeling pretty good about myself. And the director said, true to form, everybody's walking out of the studio, well, wait a second, number 1, whatever you are, wait a second, we need to talk to you. And I thought, well, I got this. I'm already too dark, and I'm already too short. There's nothing I can do about that, but yet you still chose me to stay behind. So I'm good today. I've got this. And he says to me, well, there's 2 problems. And before he could finish, I interrupted him and said, I already know what those 2 problems are, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I am who I am, and I'm proud to be who I am. And he says, well, that's good, because those aren't the 2 problems this week. And I thought, oh, this week? There's a new problem this week in town. And he said to me, well, wait for it. Well, you're just not dark enough. What? I said, okay. I said, all right, okay. Makeup can take care of that. I said, all right. I'm just standing there. Like, okay. He says, and well, quite frankly, you're too tall. Now, hang on a second. Now, wait a second. If you don't want me, I just won't audition anymore, right? So last week I was too short and I was too dark. This week I'm not dark enough and I'm too tall. Well, come on now. Just tell me you don't want me. But wait, but you're a beautiful dancer. Thanks. I walked out, went back to my apartment, had a very similar phone call that I did the week before to my parents, and of course they said, failure is only failure if you don't get back up and start over again. Well, okay, fine. And I remember my parents saying to me at that point in time, who are you going to be, Christopher? Who are you? Are you going to be somebody that people want to follow and they want to listen to? Or are you going to be somebody that they look at and they just go, oh yeah, he just gives up every time he falls down, he just gives up and moves on to something completely different. And then I remember my father saying to me, are you going to be somebody worth following? And would you be willing to follow yourself? Oh, okay. Well, at 16 years old, yes, 16 years old, I'm thinking, well, that's pretty deep. Okay, I think I want to be somebody that will be followed, and I will follow myself too, so, yeah. So my dad said, so what are you going to do? I said, I am going to go out and try again. True to Fairbank form, I was getting ready to say I love you, click. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? My goodness. Well, I did, to go off just on a tangent for a second, I did ask my parents. I was just in New York this past weekend dropping my son off to be there for the rest of the summer to hang out with his grandparents. And I asked my dad about that story there, right? I said, why is it that you hung up and you didn't tell me you loved me? And he said, you knew I loved you. And I was like, well, I know that, but you didn't say it. He said, why did I have to say it? He goes, I was reprimanding you. I was like, oh, even more so for telling me that you loved me. He said, you forgot the rest of the story. I said, I haven't forgotten anything, Dad. He goes, yes, you have. He goes, you neglect, because he's been to some of my presentations. And he says, I remember sitting in the back of the room, and you always forget the best part. And I said, what is that? And he said, I hung up on you, and you always called back and said, Dad, but I love you. And he said, and I love you too, son. Like, Dad, that's not important. It is important. That's the best part of the story, son. I'm like, no. And then he says to me, I knew you would call back. All right, Dad. Well, fast forward another week. This time I took notes. I knew exactly what studio it was. I knew what day it was. I even called ahead of time and said, is the audition on this day at this time in this place? Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, great. So I went to the studio. I'm rehearsing. I'm warming up. I'm getting ready. I start taking class. Everything's going great. That director is nowhere around. I was so happy. I was thrilled. Because now I had the opportunity to dance with this other director who just would not take his eyes off of me. Now that's either a very good thing in the dance world or a very bad thing in the dance world. Right? So I was hoping that it was a very good thing. Well, then halfway through the class, the studio door opens and the director goes, Maestro! And the music stops. The pianist stopped playing. Who walks in the room? The director from the last 2 weeks. And I thought, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I thought, you know what? I think I'm just going to hang up my ballet shoes. This was fun while it lasted, but I think I'm done. And the director says, we have this director here who's looking for a couple of dancers still, and he's just going to sit in on this audition. I'm thinking, okay, well, I was too dark. I wasn't dark enough. I was too tall, and I was too short. What's this week? My six-pack isn't chiseled enough? I'm like, what else are you going to find? At the end of the audition, company that I was auditioning for this time offered me a contract. And I was so excited, I was so happy, because I wanted to dance with this company. The thing is that this company was huge. And I thought that I would get lost in the shuffle because I was so young. But I thought, if they're going to take a chance on me, well, then I might as well take it. So I took it, and I accepted that contract, and I was happy that I did. But then, of course, this director, the other director, came up to me, and what did he say to me? You are beautiful. You are the perfect color. You are the perfect height. You have everything. I'm like, I'm the perfect color, and I'm the perfect height. Oh, well, that's great, but the last 2 weeks I wasn't. And I was happy to say to that director, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for the contract, but I'm going to go with this company instead. And the director said, are you sure? Are you sure? I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do that. I said, no, I'm positive. So I auditioned. So when I was done with that audition, I took that contract with another company. I was jumping for joy. 16 years old, in what still today is one of the best companies in the world, with the American Ballet Theater, ABT. I got a contract at 16 years old with American Ballet Theater, which was unheard of. As I was there dancing, I had a wonderful time. It was a blast. We had so much fun. They're the ones that sent me to the International Ballet Conference. They you have something. You need to go and do this. I think you can become something. I said, oh yeah, this is great. As my knees were knocking. And I had a wonderful opportunity dancing with American Ballet Theater for several years, for many years. Met a lot of great people. Right before I left American Ballet Theater and went to join the Washington Ballet, the new director is hired, and I was excited because the new director was the same person when I walked off stage that first time in Brno, Bulgaria that said, it was okay. Mikhail Baryshnikov became the director. So I was not going to re-sign my contract, but I thought, you know what, I want to dance for this man so he can see how okay I am. So I danced with Mikhail Baryshnikov for a year, and we had a blast. That Nutcracker picture that came up in the beginning with me in the split, that was with American Ballet Theater. Well, I had the privilege and the honor of sharing the role of the Nutcracker with Mikhail Baryshnikov. He did one night, I did one night. He did one night, I did one night. Well, his stipulation was, well, I will share this role with you, Christopher, but I get opening night. I said, that's fine, you are the boss after all. And me being me, I said, I get closing night. What do you mean you get closing night? That's one of the biggest shows. I said, you get opening, I get closing. I thought it was pretty logical. Right, doesn't that sound logical? Yes, absolutely. And he said, okay, you get closing night. I said, I'm going to plaster myself all over New York City so everybody comes to closing night, nobody comes to opening night. But it was great. It was so much fun. But the whole time, and I was in rehearsals, and the whole time I was in rehearsals with him, he kept on telling me that you're going to go far. You're going to be a great leader if you keep on doing what you're doing. I was 16. Well, at that time I was 18. I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then he said, which threw me for a loop and still does to this day, to have this very famous ballet dancer that defected from Russia say to me, Christopher, I would follow you anywhere. I thought, wow. 18 years old and being told that by the greatest of the greats. I would follow you anywhere. Are you that person? Are you somebody that is a leader that would be followed? Would you follow yourself? Would you willingly follow yourself? If you took a clone of yourself, would you be willing to follow that person, that other person? Who is you? Would you be willing to follow them? I hope and pray that the answer would be yes. Because that is exactly what we need to do. We need to follow the people that we are. So my quote, this is my quote, I love this, so it's the best quote of the whole day, by the way, because I said it. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is watching. Again, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is watching. So about two years ago, my wife and I get this call. I'm home during the day doing something. I don't remember. I think I was having lunch or something with my wife, which is a good thing to do. And the phone rang, and it was my kid's school. I thought, well, the school never calls in the middle of the day. Is something wrong? Did something happen? And the headmaster at the school says, we'd like to talk to you about your son. And I was thinking, oh, great. He takes after me, class clown, always wants to be the center of attention, always wants his voice heard. from school, if you would not mind taking about 10 to 15 minutes to speak with us, we'd appreciate it. I said, can you give me any more information? No, we want to tell you in person. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is something spectacularly awful or spectacularly good. I didn't know which way to go. I'm thinking, oh man. My wife's saying, babe, just be positive. Oh, I'm positive. Positive he's going to get a hurt down if he did something wrong. So we get there, and the headmaster starts talking to us, and he says, this is what happened. It's lunchtime. They're all going on for recess. And my son stands there and holds the door for the whole first grade class to go through the door. I thought, well, that's cool. And that's what I said. I said, well, that's really cool. I said, it's very commendable. What a good kid. And the headmaster says, no, but there's more. The next first grade class came through, and he held the door for that first grade class too. And at the end of that line, there was a girl at the very end that had a walker and had her backpack, and the backpack was open, apparently. And my son held the door for that little girl. Now remember, I said I'm not emotional, so just bear with me here. So, he's holding the door for this little girl with her walker. And she gets there and she gets it stuck on the lip of the door, the little threshold. And the headmaster said, myself and the assistant headmaster and some other teachers just stood back and watched the whole thing play out. And your son bends down and picks up the walker and helps that little girl over the threshold. And when he does, all the books and papers in her backpack fell out. The whole time the second grade class is walking by and no one even offers to help. So your son is there holding the door with his foot, bending down, holding the girl up, and helping her pick up her papers and put them back in her backpack. And they went out to the playground, and he played with that girl that never gets played with on the playground, and played with her for the rest of recess. And I thought, well, that's really cool. He said, what I haven't told you is that that took about 20 minutes out of the 30 minutes of recess that they had. And when your son was asked why he did that, his response was, I would hope anybody would do that. Now that made me feel great. That made me feel really good, because that little boy has integrity. He did something that he knew was right, even when no one else was watching, or then he thought that no one else was watching. And so the the headmaster said, we wanted to call you in and tell you that personally, because we wanted you to know how great your son was. And I thought, this was awesome. We get in the car, and I said, son, I'm so proud of you, this is awesome. And he said again, well, I just did what I hope anybody else would do. Integrity. Integrity to a T. Next one. Set the direction and be the teacher. Now, is it moving up? Let's see. Oh no, let's go back. Well, typically that just goes up and rolls back down. But anyway. Set the direction and be the teacher. Set the direction, be the teacher. So you have something there that people need or they want to see. So we set the direction, we set the course, and the guidance that we want it to go, and where we want it to go, where it should end up. Now there's a lot of different schools of thought on this one. A lot of people say, well, I tell them what to do, and they take it and they run with it. Well, that's fantastic. Because right now, I can get any of you in here, and just 4 or 5 of you would say, come on up here with me right now, and I'm going to ask you to do Tombe Padare Glissade Padasha. Contretemps, Tombe Padare Glissade Padashaka. Contretemps, Tombe Padare Grand Jeté. And run off. Go ahead and do it. Can anybody do that? Oh. Well, I told you what I wanted. But there was absolutely no direction. We have to give direction. We have to allow people to have the direction that they need. I think a lot of times we get in these positions of, if you will, leadership. And we say, well, you know, I'm now the leader. I'm not the boss. So they will do what I ask them to do. They will do it how I want them to do it. No matter what, no questions asked. Well, that's not right. That's not how it works. You have to give direction. You have to give guidance. You have to give guidance. When I was done dancing, when I retired from dancing, which was a lot of fun, I had a blast. I did 18 years professionally as a dancer. I retired at 3rd in the world amongst male professional ballet dancers, and that was awesome. When I retired, when they gave me the title and the award of 3rd best male professional ballet dancer in the world, I said to my wife, right there in the ceremony, I said, I'm retiring. She said, well, why? And I said, well, I want people to say, man, That guy was awesome. I didn't want them to say, I remember when. He was really good. So I retired at the time, and of course when I told my directors that I was retiring, they all said, smart. I was at the top, but I was starting to hurt. The going up didn't bother me, it was the coming down that started to hurt. So I decided this is a great time, a pinnacle of my career where I can actually retire and leave at the top, so that was great. But I had a direction, they gave me direction, they gave me guidance, they told me where you should go. So when I retired, I transferred into law enforcement. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ballet to bullets. I went from catching girls in midair and tossing them around and having fun and getting flowers to being shot at, to catching bad guys and getting flack. No more flowers. No more flowers. Not one. But we got there, and I went through it, I did my thing. And in the police academy, which is paramilitary, any foreign military folks in the house? A few, okay, 1, 2, 3, okay. Thank you for your service, greatly appreciated. Paramilitary is the police academy. I had no idea what paramilitary meant. I didn't even know what military meant. Oh, I learned. Because they gave us guidance and they gave us direction of exactly what they wanted us to do, how they wanted us to do it, when they wanted us to do it, and how they wanted us to do it, and what it was supposed to look like. Now I could understand that and I could get that, and I appreciated that because in the ballet world, they did the same thing. They gave us the direction that you need to look like this. And a lot of times for the men, it was like, you need to look like Baryshnikov. Okay. For the women, you need to look like Margot Fontaine, right? Beautiful dancers, right? Okay, well, that's what you're trying to mold yourself. You could look like something like this. In the police academy, they wanted it to be a certain way. They wanted you to do a certain thing. They wanted you to do it just how they wanted you to do it. Which was perfectly fine. I had no issue with that. The week before the academy started, they brought us into this big meeting, and we all talked, all the cadets, and we were in there, and they were talking to us, and they said, when you come on that first day, you will be in a suit. You will bring a lunchbox or a bag lunch. And you will be prepared to work very hard because the first week is going to be hellacious. And I thought, can't be any worse than what we did in ballet boot camp. And that was pretty hard. This is nothing. So I show up that first day of the academy, I have a nice little suit. It's like over $1,000 suit, right? I'm like, yeah, wrong suit to wear. You're already laughing, wrong suit to wear. We get there, I got my little lunchbox. And out comes the drill instructor. Little hat on, right? And there's 3 of them, they come out, they just come out screaming. I'm like, hey, my goodness, what happened to your orange juice this morning? I see you ate your Wheaties, but you need to calm down. You shouldn't have had that second bowl. There's something wrong with you. And they're yelling and screaming, and they say, everybody put your lunch boxes down. I went over to this little part, and I was like, put my lunch box on another line. Get in line, formation. I'm like, formation. Okay, I guess I'll stand in line. Drill instructor comes by, looks at my nicely manicured spot that I had put my lunchbox. I kid you not, goes, sit back in line. Drill instructor doesn't even bat an eye. Just keeps on walking down, looking at all the cadets, comes back. Don't you move, cadet. I was like, must be talking to me. I won't move. Okay, I'll stop moving. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of a very hard road. Beginning of a very, very hard road. So, the academy starts. Right then they start yelling at us and telling us everything we have to do and how we have to do it, when we can breathe, when we cannot breathe, all this stuff, right? Just nonsense to me because I had no idea. Well, fast forwarding a couple weeks into the academy, they had squads. So each class, my class was 32 cadets, 32 aspiring police officers, and we had several squads, and so it was smaller, 6 or 7 cadets to a squad. And then over all the squads, there was a team leader. And that team leader was supposed to make sure that everyone was doing what they were supposed to do. So we got a team leader, and this woman was, man, she was mean. She was mean. She was a retired colonel in the, I believe it was the Air Force. And she was pretty, she was stringent. This is what you're going to do. I'm like, relax. Again, you should not have eaten that second bowl of Wheaties this morning. That was not smart. She was fantastic. She was great. Well, we're about 2 to 3 weeks in, and we're in a formation, and all of a sudden, the drill instructor comes out and yells as if, everybody, take form or take your position or whatever. And I was like, what is that? So I will get up here so everybody can see. So they say, take your position. This is how you're supposed to be. I said, fine. I'm looking at everybody, I'm trying to look at them, I'm thinking, okay, well, that looks, okay, I got it. And he comes to me, cadet, take your position. He goes, what are you doing? Get in position. I said, so I'm standing here like this, right? Okay, I'm good. Okay, all right. Go, put your arms on. Oh, okay, yes, sir. Well, then he starts getting I shouldn't say getting my face, because he was kind of short. Now, I'm a short person as well, 5'7" and a half. Right, I'm very, very large, right? So, well, he was shorter than me. And so when he was hitting me, when he was talking to me with that brim on that drill sergeant hat, right? And they hit you right about here. Oh, no, right about here. So he's hitting me there, and he's like, cadet, are you looking at me? And I'm like this. No, sir. You think this is funny? No, sir. What are you doing? I'm doing plie, sir. It's exercise. You think this is funny? No, sir. Stop looking at me. Sir, it's hard not to look. I'm sorry. Cadet, go and run and give me 2 miles. I said, what are you waiting for? I don't know, sir. Do you want me to do it now or tomorrow? Go. Okay, I'll do it now. So I went and ran my 2 miles, and I came back, and he said, did you get it out of your system? I said, get what out of my system? Ballet? Oh, you got jokes. Then my nickname was created, Ballet Boy. Well, if Ballet Boy can do it, anybody can do it. Well, if Ballet Boy can do that, well, anybody can do that. All right, fine, I'll be Ballet Boy. It didn't bother me one bit. Well, continuing on the academy, I was at the academy with one of my very, very good friends, who stands about 6'4", and is solid muscle, like 250 pounds of just solid muscle. Well, we're in the part of the academy which is called weapons retention. So we have to keep our weapons on us at all points in time. Okay, great. And they have us in, like, on the mat, in the gym, with a duty belt on, with, a fake gun at this point in time, with a baton and a fake taser and all this other stuff. You got to keep it on you at all times. I was thinking, well, that shouldn't be that hard. It's on our waist. What are you talking about? It shouldn't be that hard. And you have to wrestle and fight for 3 minutes. And I thought, 3 minutes? Well, that's nothing. If you've ever fought, 3 minutes is an extremely long time. Ask any boxer, right? That's a very long time. Well, I didn't think anything. I was thinking, well, let me see here. My variations ranged from 56 seconds to 4 or 5 minutes. A pas de deux, a dance of 2, is about 7 to 10 minutes. I'm like, I've got this. This can't be that hard. I'm limber, I'm agile. I will pretzel around this guy, and it'll be just fine. I got nothing to worry about. Then, of course, I start sizing up my people out there, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously it's not going to be Scott. I am not fighting with Aaron Scott, because he is huge. This is not happening. So I find another guy that's about my height. So he's like 10, right? That's the closest guy to my height. I'm thinking, okay, he looks squirrely. Yeah, I can take him. They start pairing everybody up, and guess who I'm paired up with? Scott. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be going in and out of his legs. I'm going to tie him up. We're going to be fine. Well, about 45 seconds into it, I'm like tapping out. I'm thinking, I saw it on TV. If you tap, you're tapping out, right? I'm tapping out. And the drill instructor comes up to me and says, what are you hitting the mat for, cadet? And I said, I'm done. Surely it's been 3 minutes. He goes, it hasn't even been a minute. I'm like, oh my goodness. I got to keep on going. You got to keep on going. The 3-minute bell rang, the buzzer went off, and I was like, good. And I was standing there, I was like, yeah. And the drill instructor says, Fairbank, he did pretty good. He didn't get your weapon. I'm like, yeah. He goes, look down. I was like, he got the whole belt. The whole belt. The whole belt he got. The whole stinking belt. And I was like, my goodness, you've got to be kidding me. But that's okay. I continued on with the academy. I ended up graduating the academy with honors, which hadn't been done in several years, and the sheriff was very quick to point that out. I thought, this is really cool. Wow, I felt so proud of myself. This is awesome. And then out to the street we go. We'll get to that in a minute. That's where we come to admit faults. Admit faults and admit your mistakes. Now, how do we admit our faults, and how do we admit our mistakes? Well, it's pretty simple. But it seems very hard. So many years ago, about 10 and a half years ago, at about 2:30 in the morning, my wife wakes me up. And she says, honey, she said, I don't feel well. Well, we had just found out that we'd been expecting now for about 22 and a half weeks. She's shaking me, she says, babe, you need to get up. She goes, I don't feel well. I said, okay, so I got up, and she got up, I helped her out of bed. I said, let me get you a glass of water or something. Okay, so I get her a glass of water, she drinks some water, she goes to the restroom, comes back out, lays back down. I fell asleep again. About 20 minutes later, she starts shaking me again. She says, honey, you've got to get up. I really do not feel well. I said, okay, so I got up. I said, would you like a glass of water again? What do you like? She said, no, I don't want a glass of water. I just feel sick. I said, okay, all right. Well, the week before, we were at the doctor, and the doctor told us that my wife had placenta previa. Well, that's not a good thing. But the doctor didn't tell us any outcomes, didn't tell us what to expect or anything like that. Just said, this is what your condition is, this is what it is, and that's it. We're like, okay. We went home, did our research, we're like, okay, well, we're finding all this stuff, this is some scary stuff here, what's next? Well, I'm in the kitchen getting my wife another glass of water, and I hear her yell. So I run to the bathroom, and I deliver our son at 22 and a half weeks. As I'm looking at this little baby, trying to breathe, I'm on the phone calling the doctor in the middle of the night saying, what am I supposed to do? And she said, get to the hospital. I said, oh, I'm on the way. We get to the hospital. They take the baby one way. They take my wife another way. And I'm just standing there by myself in the emergency room, not knowing what is going on. About 20 minutes later, yes, 20 minutes later, the doctor comes out and says, okay, Mr. Fairbank, you need to come with us. I said, okay, great. Can somebody tell me what's going on? And I go in and I see this little boy. He's got tubes coming out of every orifice of his body, little patches and monitors all over himself, and he's this little incubator. And the doctor says to me, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. We don't know if he'll live for a day. We don't know if he'll live for 2 days. We don't know if he'll live for a month or a year or whatever the case, but we don't know. All we know is he's not doing well. I said, okay. Of course, my heart is melting, and I am just devastated. I'm terrified because I don't know what's coming next. Right then, we hear a code come across the intercom in the hospital. And the doctor says, that's where your wife is. We need to go. So as we're running through the hospital, I'm thinking of all the things that could be going on. What is happening? Long story short, my wife had lost a lot of blood. And all I could think of was, I can't raise this little girl on my own. I can't do this on my own. I need your help. I told her how much I loved her. I told her how much we were compatible. I told her all these things. Well, thankfully, she's still with us today. But I had to go back downstairs and make a decision, the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. The doctor said, well, it's up to you what you want to do. You can keep him on this life support, or you can take him off. I said, okay. So as we took him off that life support, and I held that little boy in my hands for what seemed like an eternity. And then he took that last little breath. As I said, your mom and I love you, and you'll always be with us. Our doctor comes into the room and says, told you what to expect. I should have told you what the outcome could be. I respect that doctor so much because she admitted that she was wrong. She admitted her fault in not telling us what we were to expect. That I can respect. How many times have we been in that situation where we've done something, or we haven't done something that we should have done? How many times are we in that situation where we're told that we need to do something a little bit differently? Or we want to tell somebody they need to do something differently. We want to be upfront and honest, but we just don't do it. I'm here to tell you that we need to. We need to admit to our faults. We need to admit to our mistakes. Because when we do that, it actually brings us closer as a group and as a team, and actually builds more respect amongst everybody else. And that's what we need. We need that other respect that comes along. Number 5, I'm almost done. Help others succeed and encourage leadership at all levels. My dear friends, I'm telling you right now, it does not matter what level you are at, but you're a leader. And if you decide that, and if you are one of those people that is at the top, well, you need to encourage leadership at the bottom. Because everybody has leadership, everybody has something to share. Everybody has something that can help your organization. Everybody has an idea or a thought or something that can help progress your business and your atmosphere along in a better way. You need to listen to it. Listen out for it. Don't just think, oh, well, they just got here, they have nothing to offer. Well, everybody has something to offer. When I was in the police force, I told the chief one day as I walked through the hall, I broke into cold sweats. Because I knew what I was about to tell the chief was either going to get me fired or was going to give me a promotion. I didn't know which one. I walked into that police department and I said, Chief, this department is in obscurity. We need to do something to change this. And he looked at me and he said, what are you talking about? I said, well, Chief, we work for the Department of Homeland Security because I switched departments. And I said, we're in obscurity. I said, we don't do anything. I said, these people don't even know who we are or what we're about. We need to do something. We need to do something to change this. I've got an idea. And the chief stepped back and he said, what's your idea? And I thought, wow, he's encouraging me, even at the lowest level. This little peon police officer, he's allowing me to share my thought. And I said, I think we should do something called Meet the Staff. I said, we will interview every single police officer, the ones that want to be interviewed, and they will talk about themselves and just tell us who they are and what they're about. And they'll put it out there on Facebook and everything, and people can see who they are. Maybe we'll gain some respect. It worked. After the first Meet the Staff we did, we had over 12,000 views within 30 minutes. That was huge. And then they were begging for it. Let's get more, let's get more, let's get more. It's because my boss encouraged leadership at the lowest level possible. You think it can work? Let's try it. There's no harm in trying. So everybody that's a hire up here, don't sit on your people and don't say, well, what's your idea? Your idea is not worth it, because you never know. This chief took a chance, and it worked, and it paid off. Make sure that you encourage that leadership at every single level. And then, of course, last but not least, lead by example. Be an example. So everybody that I worked with, notice I said I worked with, I retired from law enforcement in January. And when I retired as the Director of Public Information and Public Affairs. I had 36 people that worked with me. And my boss always hated that, because they do not work with you, they work for you. No, they don't. They work with me. How do they work with me? Because I would never, ever, and I never, ever ask them to do anything that I was not willing to do myself. And there were times where I asked them to do something, and I had one guy say to me, well, sir, have you done that? I said, yes, I have. It's been a while, but you know what? Because I haven't done it in a while, I'll go with you. And went there, and we worked that case together from start to finish. It built camaraderie, it built teamwork, and it allowed him to understand and realize that, you know what? My boss is never going to ask me to do something that he hasn't done. And then something came up that I had never done before. And my boss said, oh, just send so-and-so. I thought, uh-oh, I'm in a predicament. Am I a leader? Do I have integrity? Am I going to do this? What am I going to do? I said, okay, sir, you got it. I'll send him. I told this officer, this is where you know, this agent. I said, this is where you need to go. This is what you need to do. He called me on the carpet. He said, you done it before, sir? I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, I remember like about a year ago, you hadn't done something and you hadn't done it in a long time, and you went with that person to go and do it. Are you going to do that with me too? And I said, I sure am. And we went out and we did it. Now, I'm not not telling you this was a great thing because we screwed it up from start to finish. The whole way, we destroyed it. But it was okay because we did it together. We did it together, and it worked out. And thankfully, it all worked out. There were no lives harmed. It worked out, thankfully. It was just paper stuff, so it was all right. But the point is that we need to lead with example. If we can lead with example, and if we can be, and not only be, but also bleed what we say we will, then we're going to bring ourselves closer together. We're going to have more success, and life is going to be a lot better for all of us in each and every single one of us. Because who would have thought that a 2-year-old in foster care would ever make it to win 2 gold medals for the United States of America in an international ballet competition, to retiring at 3rd in the world amongst male professional ballet dancers, to retiring to becoming a police officer, graduating with honors, moving on and going forward and rising up and raising up through the ranks to become a director of a highly sought after position with a federal agency. And at the end, retiring and saying, I think I've given everything I can give. I want to go and do something different now. And then getting a signed letter from the President of the United States, whether or not you support him or not, getting a letter from the President of the United States that said, thank you for your dedicated service. We will miss you. Who would have thought? 2 years old, homeless, with my biological mother for 2 years of my life, to going all this way. I can tell you right now in closing, this is how it happens. Because there's a belief. Somebody believed in me. And then when I got to the right age, I believed in myself. You are now far past that age where you should start believing in yourself. You are far past that time to start believing in yourself. You should have already started believing in yourself. But now I urge you and I encourage you to believe in yourself and know that you can be what you want to become. So if everyone would please stand if you are able to. Please stand. This is now something to pick up. And repeat after me. I am a leader.
I am a leader.
I have integrity.
I have integrity.
I will be the change.
I will be the change
that I want to see.
that I want to see.
Now all together, here we go. I am a leader.
I am a leader.
I have integrity.
I will be the change that I want to see.
Be seated. My dear friends, may I offer you this, that you do have integrity, that you are a leader, and each and every single one of you will definitely be the change that we all want to see. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. And I promise you that if you believe in yourself, you will be that leader and you will be that change that we all want to see. So be that leader that we know that you are. May God bless each and every single one of you, and thank you for being here.